A couple characteristics that's going to make you a great investor is one, having patience, and two, not reacting with your emotions. Some of the reasons that people really sell their assets, we're going to take a look at this article from Sunday right here, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. The number one thing is for financial reasons of bills. When people start having bills rack up so high, you cannot think straight because of the fact that you're trying to get to your next bill and you're just making the bare minimum just for you to survive. That's called living paycheck to paycheck, and a majority of Americans are living like that. Even when they don't have financial responsibilities such as a mortgage, they're just renting, they still face with that. And it takes practice to get there, and I see based upon friends, people around me, how they can easily fall into that trap because of that behavior. Just thinking that adding just one little extra payment of $50 a month, $100 a month, and the next thing you know, you have 12, 15 of these on payment plans, and your bills start racking up like crazy. You really have to learn when to spend, when to be conservative when it comes to that aspect. If you are in that trap right now where you seem that you cannot get ahead, some tactics you can do. Work your way backwards. Start from your biggest bill to down to your lowest bill. Start there to see if you can figure out a way to cut certain things out. Of course, if you're renting out, it's hard to cut that out when you're in the midst of the situation. But when your lease is up, maybe potentially you could look for somewhere else where that's cheaper for you to be able to save some more money. I know it's tough right now as the economy is going through this shaky, weird phase. There is a lot of demand for people to move around, and it's still making prices for rental to be quite a bit high. Buying right now is ridiculous. A lot of the houses that I'm seeing are just trash. The landlords, sellers are just trash. They're not taking care of properties, and they're trying to sell it to you as is for double the price, 50% up what it's actually supposed to be worth. For your utility bills, your groceries, see where you can make some cuts, cell phone, internet, streaming services, so that way you can reduce these things as much as possible to get a bit ahead. Because remember, you don't need a whole lot to start investing. You could literally have $100 a month in savings, and you could put that aside to invest. That is going to really set you up for the future. If you really have the patience to wait 15, 20 years, you're going to see that money really blossom a lot much more for you to be able to do a lot much more. And if you want to get there quicker, put a lot much more away. Go to 200, then 300, 400, 500 until you can eventually get there. Number two reason is inheritance. I don't think I would do this. If I inherited some property from family, my parents, I don't think I would just be selling it just to get rid of it because I just inherited. Because you do have to pay capital gains tax. There's a whole nuance of laws that goes around that depending on the prices that your parents paid, the cost of repairs that they've done already, what is their cost basis that's been transferred over to you. All these factors that plays into it. For me, I don't think I would just sell it if I can make it into an investment, meaning rent it out. If you sell it outright, you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam a big chunk of taxes. But if you hold on to it, tap into the equity, utilize that as leverage to do something else, then that's completely fine. Of course, I know not everybody has that mental capacity to just be able to be landlords out there and have that mental mode, because it does require certain characteristics. You're pretty much building a business when you do that. And you have to learn to manage people, manage the transactions, manage the repairs. Real estate is really not like a huge lucrative business. If you're looking into it to make a lot of money from renting out to people, I don't think it's the right business for you if that's what you're looking for with the biggest return every single year. But strategically, it is the best way to build wealth because it serves as a bank. You get a lot of tax deductions from it. People do make money. The minute you start amassing more and more portfolio, you can make a good chunk of money. Most people make like $100 to $300 per month in profit from their units when they're at a massive level. I'm not at that level, but I do have the benefits of getting the tax deduction as well as seeing the property appreciates. I can tap into the equity in the future once I'm ready, once I really see the potential for that to happen. Now I want to jump to this one, divorce, because the relationship ruins, especially amongst my black folks, has been, to me, what I've seen, not looking at any data, the number one reasons of people around me I see are selling their homes or getting rid of assets because of breakups, relationship problems. It gets very emotional at that point in time. I'm seeing that happen in front of me right now. It's kind of like when two people aren't getting along, they have an asset that's under both of their names. And because of the stress that they're dealing with each other, they're just willing to get rid of it despite the economic situations. Because what it is you're not supposed to really sell your home during the bad economic downturns. When things are really bad, your home price is not going to be the best. You're not going to get the highest value for it. You're not going to get those bidding wars. You're just going to be struggling a bit. And when you do sell, you're just selling to settle for something less, but for your peace of mind of just being separated from that person. Now, don't get me wrong, I do get it. You got to put your mental health above anything else, because without that, you'll go crazy, you go mad. It's better to have that than to lose your life, kill somebody, for sure. Because I know people that really talk like that. I'm like, man, if someone does this one more thing to me, I'm going to kill them. And it's not really worth it for your mental health. But you got to strategically think about how can you create some sort of compromise and understanding where you could make this as a smart decision. So that way, when you are getting rid of the assets that you just co-own with the other person, it happens at a better time when you both can really have that win-win situation all around. It's not just one person, we're both taking losses because of the fact that we're just trying to get rid of each other. Then you're just pretty much giving up. You're not really fighting for what you actually believe in. Sometimes you got to look deeper into relationships. I know my wife and I, when we got married, we did take premarital courses. Our foundation on our marriage is based on the Bible. We really stick to the scriptures in terms of how Christ set for a man and woman to be, how God had established that really holds our moral compass in terms of how we act with each other. When we have problems that we're dealing with, how we approach it. So far, we're fresh, we're newbies, about a year and a half in. But I can't really speak for the people that's been there for like 15, 20 years. But I could say it's been pretty effective whenever we have differences. We never had any arguments. That's one thing about her and I, is that we have that understanding where we had no arguments. If it could get there, if our personalities was like that, we would have gotten there. But instead, we try to find ways. When I'm high, she's low. I find ways to meet her where she's at. When I'm low, she's high. I try to meet her where she's at. So that way we can come to an understanding for each other. Because if we don't do that, then it's going to create more and more problems down the line, which eventually leads to that whole disruption. And then now you're panicking and you just want to sell your assets out of the fact that you're dealing with this stress. But there's ways to contain the stress. It's harder saying this than it actually could be done, because it takes work. It takes really a lot of mental work for you to get there. But I can honestly say I think it's a better outcome when you can find that understanding. Because I hear of couples that have differences, they go separate ways, but have so much great understanding for each other. It's a happy separation where they're still good friends. Of course, depending on what the person has done or what you guys are dealing with, I can't expect that for everybody. But in the sense of having that cordial separation and make it in a way where it doesn't financially ruin you both is key. Because the only people that really capitalize and enjoy that is the American government. You got to think about the attorneys, all the attorney fees that you're going to be paying on each side. And then the U.S. government, they're taxing you on your assets. They're going to, no matter what happens, who gets what money once you sell that asset, they're going to get their 20%, 15% if it's a long-term capital gain situation, or more if it's not. So therefore, you got to be very strategic and think about these things. And before you even step into a situation where you're going to be a financial partner with somebody, buying a home, getting into a marriage, make sure you have that full understanding, those conversations, so you know how to handle it in case some of these things happen, so that you're not acting out of emotions, not acting out of fear, not acting out of desperation, because that desperation will make you have no patience. You're going to want to get rid of things in a couple of years, when in truly, in reality, like real estate, I think 10 plus years is what you got to look at for every purchase that you do. Because if you can ride out a 10-year cycle, you're going to be in a positive margin, regardless where the economy is at within that 10-year mark. That's just a cycle from what I've seen in real estate. There are markets that are exceptions, of course. You got Detroit and certain markets that just aren't able to really recover. But I really think for the majority of markets, that's what happens. And same goes for stocks. Same goes for crypto. If you look at it, any of these assets across the 10-year mark, you will see that everything has appreciated. The last thing here is lifestyle. People try to upkeep a lifestyle they cannot really maintain. That is something I see quite a bit. I personally live at a bare minimum. In case any emergency happens, I'm ready. I can get it done. I have the funds to tap into the funds I need to make things happen. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to luxuriously spend those funds at leisure. Especially right now when we're going through this economic downturn, very weird situation that we're dealing with job losses, layoffs happening, companies just cutting back. People are not spending. Real estate is tight. We have to be very careful with how we spend our money and what we consider to be leisure. What's a necessity? You got to separate that versus what is it that you just want. That is not a necessity that you're just doing out of leisure. Because if you try to create that lifestyle you cannot really upkeep, it's going to be very problematic. And from what I've seen, if you can really survive during these downturns and create something for yourself that's successful, meaning able to upkeep with your financials and keep recurrently invest, when the markets really rebound, you're really going to capitalize off the situation. Just me analyzing the last time this happened, it was in 2008. And from 2008 to 2012, home prices bottomed out. But during that time, the stock market was at all-time high. So if you bought stocks around 2007, 2008, when things were dropping, you really made out pretty nicely. So those are some of the things you got to really think about and have that patience. Because you don't know when that uptrend is going to happen. But you just got to be patient to really wait for it. I encourage you out there, if you're struggling in a marriage, in a relationship, and a lifestyle that you're dealing with, and it's going to cause you to have those financial hiccups, before you even get into those situations, really think about it. If there's another person involved, speak to them. Have a two-way conversation. It's never too early to talk about money when it comes to your partner at all, because it will ruin you guys. That is like the number one thing for a lot of divorces, because of the fact that they did not establish a good foundation, a good ground of how the financials are going to be handled throughout the relationship. So, hope you found this insightful. Stay encouraged. Have patience. When it comes to investing, have patience. And also, do not panic. Don't act out of emotions. Don't act out of fear. No matter how upset you are, do things according to what strategically makes sense. But, exception here is put also your mental health first. I cannot speak for anyone, tell you how much you can tolerate and take. You gotta truly know that for yourself. For me, I seek the guidance of my one true Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Whenever I get to those situations, I don't know what to do. Because I face that pretty much on a daily. Running your own business, sometimes you don't know what to do, which directions to head into. And I ask God for that guidance, truly. And He provides answers, not in the ways that I expected. You don't talk to me directly like that, but it's just the doors that are open, the doors that are closed, the next steps that I'm seeing built up. Those are the ways that God really guides me when I'm dealing with the situations. Sometimes things are instantaneous. I've been there where it's like, I remember I was about to do something. I'm like, man, God really pulled me out of the situation because I put myself in this. I put myself in the hole. I asked for your guidance. And literally, me being there, God really carried everything to happen smoothly, and I did not do anything that was going to go against His will. He pulled me out of the situation, and the way He did it was, I didn't know how it was going to be, but I trusted Him. Peace and love. Hope you found this insightful. Trust in Jesus. Have an amazing one. Thank you so much for checking out my video. My goal is to be able to share as much knowledge, wisdom, experience that I've been given, privilege from God over the years, to be able to give that to you. And also be able to receive from you as well. This can definitely be a two-way dialogue. It doesn't have to be one way at all. It's just for us to be engaged. And I'm just continuously sharing as things that I'm seeing move along the market. So I hope you find insights, and your feedback is greatly appreciated as well. How can you support me? Right now, I have these wristbands. You can get them at luxury.com. I've been selling them on eBay for quite some time. it just says make your statement. It's just a encouraging, inspirational message. You can purchase these right now, available on there. Eventually it will be spun off to other things and I'll have other products, but that's one way you can do right now. But most importantly is just making sure you receive something from the content I've given. And if you have any feedback, that is probably the most valuable thing I could say you can give to me. So I appreciate it, and I hope that we can continue to build a long-term relationship with each other and just grow with one another. Peace. And if you have any questions, definitely drop it below. Hustle, 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 stay.